Hello everyone, thank you for joining us again for another session in the Rootstock Educate series. Today we have JonJon from ENVIO joining us to explain why blockchain is so slow and how you can get it fast on Rootstock. So he is just coming to join me up on stage now.
How's that?
It's looking good.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, thanks for that, Rebecca. Let me know when I should kick off or if there's anything more on your end.
No, you can get started whenever you want. If you just share your screen, we've just got some GMs in chat.
Lovely. Yeah, I'll share that in a second, and just don't feel afraid to unmute yourself and let me know if, I don't know, the screen stops sharing or anything. Hello, GM, all the friends in the chat. I'll try to take a look throughout the throughout the presentation. So yeah, have a feel free to send through some things in the chat. All right, it's going to be an exciting one. It's going to be hands-on. It's going to be fast. It's going to be action-packed. So without further ado, let's rock and roll. So I'm going to start sharing now. And I'm going to get into, as Rebecca mentioned, which is so nice, talking about why blockchain data is so slow and how we can get it fast on Rootstock. First one, quick thing, Rebecca, I see my picture in the bottom right. Is that being seen for everyone else or not? I just don't want to.
Yeah, you mean your face?
Yeah, in the bottom right. Is that fine?
No, we can't see on the
Okay,
screen. We've just got your slides, but we can see you
Love
online.
that. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted. Thank you.
Awesome.
Epic. Okay, why blockchain data is so slow and how are we going to get it fast on Rootstock? So I think the best way to always think about these things is look at practical examples and work through it together tonight or this morning or wherever in the world you are. So what I wanted to do was actually go do that, and I went on to DeFi Llama and I was looking at Rootstock and I was looking at some of the protocols deployed on there, and I thought if we were a developer doing money on chain or sovereign or riff on chain, what might be a practical problem we face with the data being on Rootstock and how would we solve it? So with that, I got to the question of what are the 10 biggest transfers of the RIF US dollar? So it's one of the stable coins on Rootstock, and you want to ask this question and you want to get some answers. And now let's think about how we are going to figure this out. But just super quickly, before we get back to that question, I'm JonJon, I'm from ENVIO, and we do modern blockchain indexing. It's really, really fast, millions of events in seconds, and it's also tailored to multi-chain, and we'll see that in action. As I said, I'm JonJon. Jordan told me I need to have a captivating profile picture for engagement, so this was me with my sunglasses on, but I'm one of the co-founders, and I'm more than happy to chat to anyone after this. But let's get back to the question at hand, which is, what are the 10 biggest transfers of the RIF US dollar on the Rootstock chain? And maybe you want to ponder this, think about it for a couple of seconds. How on earth would you actually do this? It is an interesting question. So I'll stop here for just a few seconds while you think about how you might do that as a developer. Okay, so hopefully you've thought about it a little bit and your creative juices are flowing. What am I going to do? And as a developer, I just want to say, you're often going to have to answer these questions. Why so? Well, often you might have a front end that shows users this kind of information. You might want to have a leaderboard component showing these biggest transfers. You might be the company and want to do some analytics. What's the average transfer volume? How often are transfers happening? You want to understand the adoption and the usage of the product. And so many more questions like this exist practically, right? Give me all the information about a specific user, all the transfers they've made. Give me all the info about a specific pool. Constantly, you'll be asking these questions in tech in general, wherever you are, and you'll try to answer these questions, as they'll be important for maybe various business objectives. And often you need to have the know-how, with all the data being there in the wild, how to actually get this answer. And we're going to look at it in the context of blockchain, and we're going to do it nice and practically today. So yeah, you might be thinking, how do we do that? What's gonna happen? And there are obviously different ways to skin the cat, but I want to show you really fast and efficient ways. So firstly, some background knowledge for those of you who might not know. Maybe I'm taking a step back here. This RIF US dollar will have some kind of smart contract that's deployed on Rootstock. And every time someone's making a transaction, you're sending me $100 for pizza, whatever, you're having this transfer event that's being emitted that's saying where it's going from, who it's going to, the amount. And maybe you think, okay, so all we got to do is find all of these RIF US dollar transfer events on Rootstock, and we just select the max 10 entries, and there we go. There we found the biggest 10 transfers, right? And this is a perfectly logical approach, but we do run into some problems. And this is a crux of a lot of what we try to solve and make really easy, because you basically got to think, how do we find all of these transfer events? Now, there's more than 7 million Rootstock blocks. It's a lot of blocks. And in each block, there is various kinds of transactions relating to multiple different protocols, who knows, meme coins, NFTs. There's lots going on. So you're looking for some needles in the haystack. You got to scan through all of these 7 million blocks and pick out the relevant events and find how many transfer events are there, how are we going to store it all, how are we going to query it. There's all of these problems, and there's lots of tooling that's been developed to help you solve these problems. And yeah, I want to show you a bit more about ENVIO today, which makes solving this kind of problem really easy, and it helps you to answer a lot of these kinds of questions you'll face and really have a robust platform as a developer to be a data forward organization. Right. So again, you might still be like, oh, how do we do this? So that's what we're getting to, and I love that we're just going to do a lot of practical in this. But yeah, first, this is sort of the ENVIO interface, which I'll show you, and there's a lot of other protocols that are using ENVIO as the tooling to answer those exact questions. These are all deployed by Gnosis, Euler, Sablier, and what they're doing is they're listening to all of kinds of information across multiple chains, and they're essentially saving it into a database, and they have these queryable endpoints where they can answer these types of questions, right? So before I get on to the next slide, I'm just going to actually show you that in action. You can head over to the Explorer and actually see a lot of all the protocols that have been deployed. And if I go across to, let's say, the end page here and look at one deployed by Sablier, you can see in this deployment 21 hours ago, it's actually gone and it's looked through millions and millions of blocks across, I don't know, maybe this is 15 different chains, and it's scanned through them, and it's got all the events, and it's actually now got a playground where you could make queries to get information like what are the 10 biggest transfers, etc. And really a big problem ENVIO helps solve is normally searching through tens of millions of blocks across multiple chains can take weeks, months. It can be really long. There's a lot of tooling where it takes a really long time, and as a developer this can be frustrating. If you want to push a change, you want to alter some logic, to start running it again and having to search through this behemoth of data, it's annoying to take so long to iterate. So as you can see, this is in 9 minutes, scanning all of these chains, doing it, and that's really a great developer experience, and that's what we're about, delivering a good developer experience. So I'll show more about how we're going to solve that question in a second. Remember, this is our question. What are the 10 biggest transfers? Right. I just want to also show you some other cool stuff, because let's look at cool stuff. This is also stuff that's built using ENVIO actually. And there's the indexer, which I'm going to talk about, which is going to help us solve that problem. But remember, we talked about scanning through tens of millions of blocks so fast. Well, that's actually a result of some really cool data nodes we've built called Hypersync. And there are actually clients in Python, Rust, Node.js that you can build stuff on top of. And I'm going to show you an example of something I actually hacked together using Python, using the Hypersync client that's really fast and I think somewhat useful, which is cool. So what it actually is, chain density, is it allows you to take any contract address. So I'm going to go into a Rootstock Explorer here, and I'm going to say maybe take the sovereign protocol, and I'm going to copy the address. And what I can do in chain density is I can say, okay, at this address on the network Rootstock, show me over the 7 million blocks all the events and where they happen in the chain. So I actually have some idea of what's the activity of this address and how much is actually happening. And what you can see over there is it's processed more than 5 million blocks. It's found 200,000 events. You can see over the chain's lifespan from 1.7 million to 7 million over there, all the events that have happened. And that's quite useful for us to really get an understanding of what kind of task do we have at hand here. So if I make another request, I can go to this riff US dollar. I can take the address. Cool, there we go, it's copied. I can chuck it in here and I can choose the Rootstock network. And this is live to play around with, by the way, at chaindensity.xyz. You can see what I managed to do there is just in less than a second, I scanned 7 million blocks. I found 186,000 events. And now I have some sense, at least, for all of the information I'm trying to get. Remember, we're looking at these transfer events. That was part of our idea. Let's look at all these transfer events and then let's save them. And once we've saved them, we can find what the biggest 10 ones are. So that's just another example of something that's been built using the ENVIO tooling ecosystem, HyperIndex, Hypersync. I'll talk more about that in a second, but let me also show you some other cool things that have been built, and we'll get to answering our question practically in a second. This is called HyperTui, and it's actually a terminal tool. And again, over here, you can see you're able to, in your terminal, give an address and generate a whole lot of really interesting statistics on it, such as the total transfers, the amount sends, the amount received. And this is using the Rust client, as far as I know, which is really nice. So if you want to build really interesting, expressive things that rely on on-chain data, then definitely check that out. And it's a way for you to get it really, really fast. As I said, if you wanted to do traditionally what I just did on chain density and scan 7 million Rootstock blocks and find all of the events for that contract, you would typically have to make a boatload of RPC requests to a node and chunk them at 10,000 blocks at a time and really hammer that node. And it's essentially just not the most efficient way to do it. And again, we're about speed, efficiency, making developing nice and easy. There's some other cool ones that we can check out that heavily use Hypersync in the ENVIO ecosystem, like Scope, which is cool. It's a block explorer, really, really nice. Also go check that out. Scope, chain density, it's super, super minimal. It's really, really fast. And you can click on different contracts. You can click on all types of things, the logs, the codes, this, that. And normally you might be limited by the number of logs, but this is making requests on the fly, ultra fast to Hypersync nodes to give you all the logs, say for USDC. Right. So that's a bunch of cool examples, but I think I want to get back to our question now and get into some code, because why not jump in sooner rather than later? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you the ENVIO init process, which is the super simple way for you to actually see get started and build an indexer from scratch. So you can see getting started here, and I'll show you how it works, but I'd love for you to even give it a go, hopefully in this demo. That would be pretty sweet. You need Node, PNPM, and Docker, just a couple prerequisites, and just like that, you'll get going. But let me go ahead and start and show you how we're going to do that. So first thing to note is we're going to need to find the contract address details for this RIF US dollar. So we've copied this contract address. We can see where it lives. And again, our approach is let's find all the transfers. And normally it's really cumbersome to scan all of them and index it. But again, I'm going to show you how fast and seamless that is with ENVIO and what the setup looks like. And again, this is all on Rootstock, so go check it out. You can try anything I'm doing here at home, the sites, the examples. Would love to hear your feedback. So excited to show you that. Cool, I'm going to quickly stop sharing my screen as I'll need to share my terminal for you too in a second. So give me a second over here. And 1, 2, 3, share entire screen. Cool. How's that? I'm guessing everyone can see the terminal. So I'm going to make a directory and I'm going to say it's temp indexer directory. And I'm going to cd into my temp indexer directory. And I'm going to very simply make an indexer from scratch just in a couple of seconds. And I see there was a couple of questions asking how this might differ to other indexing tools. So I'll also just quickly address that. One is the speed, the ability of you to scan through all of those blocks in seconds as opposed to hours, days, making your feedback loop very quick. You can also run the process locally without having to deploy it, as well as it being natively multi-chain. So there's lots of really nice features setting it apart, as well as being able to dive a layer lower into Hypersync and build what I was showing you, block explorers, analytics engines, tools, all typical things you would be able not to do with a more simple indexer. Right, so if I hit ENVIO init, this is us getting started. It's hopefully super simple for you to follow. I'm just going to choose this folder, and really what I'm going to do is choose EVM. I'm going to choose contract import, block explorer, and all you have to basically go do is choose your network and choose the address. So I'm going to go all the way down here to RSK, rootstock. I'm going to paste this address that we had previously copied for the RIF US dollar chain. I'm going to hit enter, and what's going to happen is it's going to just go and quickly grab essentially these events for us so we can get started, and just give it a second. Obviously smells fear. And while I wait for it to do that, I'll just show you now at a second. So what we're basically doing is we're wanting to go to the contract and we're wanting to just get what does this actual event look like, right? When we said over here that one of the ways we're going to do things is maybe we're going to find all the transfer events. You just kind of need to know what that structure is, right? So what I'm doing over here is I'm just making this request, and it's going actually hitting the RSK Explorer, and it's pulling all this information for us so we can indeed start the indexing process. So how's my internet doing? We all good over here? Imagine we are. I'm just going to cancel this and I'm going to start again very quickly. As you know, fear is smelt by live demos, but go try this yourself. I haven't had any issues. And yeah, when we hit that in a second, we should be looking to, there we go, just like that, get all of the events. And you can choose which events you actually care about and you want to index. And in our case, it's only these transfer events, right? Because we want to find the 10 biggest transfers on the network. That's all we want to index. We hit enter. And what's really nice is you can add new contracts on the same network. You can add new networks for the same contract. It's really flexible and enabling multi-chain indexing, which is really nice. And just with the hit of enter, you hit I'm finished. I'll skip this for now. And what it's actually doing is really quickly auto-generating us an indexer. So again, basically all you need to have is your network and your contract address. So we're getting rootstock data real quick. Right, and I'm actually just going to open up a code terminal so you can actually see what's going on. Of course, I trust the authors. That's me. I'm going to bring in a terminal here, and let me just increase the size of my screen so you can hopefully see that really nicely. And what I can do now is run the simple command pnpm ENVIO dev. So all I've done, remember, is chosen the network, put in the address, and now with the simple command, what it's basically doing is starting the indexer. So we'll get to that now, but here you can see it's searching for events. The chain ID is 30. It's already gone through the first 6 million blocks, just like that. And yeah, you can see it's really speeding through things. And this is again something that really sets the solution apart. Something that would normally take hours, days, weeks is literally reduced to less than a minute. You can see it's lightning quick in finding all of these hundreds of thousands of events and scanning millions and millions of ranges, and all of this I generated right in front of your eyes, started from scratch. You can do the same, and that's finished now. And before I show you how the code actually works and the boilerplate it's generated for you, you can actually go into this local console over here, and we can actually look at the data and make some requests. So we can already see all the data over here. We can see here all the transfers, the hundreds and thousands of them with all the specific values. And what you have now is this really cool endpoint where you can essentially go and create a query. Let's say we find the transfers, we want to get 10 of them, and we want to order them by value, the biggest values, and we want a little bit of information about it. And now, if you run this query, I don't know how long that was. Let's say it was 5 minutes, maybe a bit less, not too long, but bang, right live in front of your eyes. We've done that from scratch. You can see we've now got these results returned with the 10 biggest transfers. You can see this biggest one is from the 0 address and mint to this address. They got a really nice big value. And now, as a developer, if you are, say, a front-end developer, you can simply make these really nice GraphQL requests to this endpoint and populate, say, a nice leaderboard with all the biggest transfer values. And really, the sky's the limit with what you can do. Now I'm going to take a quick step back and go back to this thing where we said, remember, there's lots of questions. Give me more info about a specific user. Give me more info about a specific pool. Really, the sky's the limit with what you can build and do. And what we've generated is a boilerplate here, and you can see it's indexing live here now, and it's nice and at the head, which is easy. But very simply, what essentially it's generated for you, you can see right there, it's just updated and got the latest block. You're very simply specifying the networks you want to index. It can be multi-chain. We're specifying rootstock. You're specifying the address and the specific event. And when that happens, you basically have some logic saying every time we have one of these transfer events, I basically just want to save it. It's in TypeScript. It's mega simple. This is just a couple of lines. And very much finally, so the schema just kind of shows you the type of data you're saving. This is the table. These are the 4 values you're saving: the ID, the from, the to, the value. And now you are able, to iterate from here. And you can add whatever you would like. You could write some logic that every time there's a new transfer, let's check if it's a new user and how many people are actually using this thing. I mean, there's really a lot you can do. So why has data been so hard to get previously, and why is it so easy now? I think me showing you this maybe hopefully unearths that it can be really easy to get data, to answer these questions. Why has it been so hard? Well, traditionally, it's been pretty hard. Let's get to it over here. Some more cool things we can come back to. Oh, we missed the slides. They must be somewhere else. Anyways, I'll explain it to you. Why it's been so hard is generally you're quite reliant on these RPC requests, these nodes, infrastructure that was developed quite a few many years ago where perhaps
By the way,
it wasn't.
JonJon, can I just jump in a sec? Your video has now appeared on your screen share. It wasn't there before, but for the last 5 minutes or so.
Oh no, it wasn't for 5 minutes.
I didn't want to interrupt you while you were.
Oh, disaster. Did anyone see anything happening in the terminal?
Yeah, no. We saw the rest of it. It was only just covering the sort of bottom right.
Okay, no worries. So, can you remember the last thing you saw on my screen?
Ooh.
Or does
Chat,
anyone?
you remember the
someone
last
in the
thing
chat?
before,
Let's go here.
Before JonJon, before his face covered the bottom right.
Just saw the slides.
I think it popped up around the
Terminal
time
was
you
there.
shared your terminal.
Love that. GraphQL. You saw the GraphQL. Yeah, it was all good. Ah, thanks, Matthias. Nice. Okay. So we've made some progress. I'm going to do a super quick recap, and I'll answer some questions first off as well. And I'll tell you when I share my screen. I'm not going to share right now, but why is it so much faster? Well, essentially what we've done is we've built a data node from the ground up using Rust that works really nicely integrated with the indexer. So searching is a lot faster, and getting the data and retrieving it is a lot faster, and that makes that process almost exponentially quicker, which is really, really nice. And that's the same tool that we've used to build what Jordan's shared in the chat, chain density. So the indexer uses the Node.js client to make these requests and really quickly scan through millions of blocks. And you can hack yourself using Python, Node.js, or any of those things to do it yourself. Cool. So let's quickly go back and just recap what we've been doing and how things have been going. And yeah, if video cuts out, don't be afraid to let me know. Sorry about that. Cool. I'll share my entire screen again. So very quickly to recap where we are at. What we've done is we've looked at useful questions in a blockchain data context, like trying to identify.
I think it may be when you share your whole screen, that's when we can see the video pop up. Otherwise.
Oh, you can see me at the bottom right, the video pop up.
But that's the only.
But you can still see. Oh, you still saw everything.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
you can see me. You can see me anyway. I'm not too. There we go. How's that?
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Okay. Lovely. Okay, then we all kind of on the same page. We're just seeing a little bit of extra of my face on the bottom right. So that's not too bad. So what we've done is we've gone ahead and we've very quickly auto-generated this indexer. We've got all this information we've cared about, and we've been able to index it, put it in a database, and make queries to get rich information, right? So just to touch on some more of the questions, what we've been able to do is really make this process extremely fast and modern, which is really appealing to most developers, that is, allows your iteration speed to be really quick. So you can go on to ENVIO here, and if any of you used Vercel before, then you know generally when you want to deploy your front end, it's kind of as simple as merging a branch in and getting a new deployment. And we really wanted to mirror that experience. So you can choose essentially a branch that's your deployment branch, and whenever you merge more commits that perhaps change your indexing logic, it's going to come over here and very quickly deploy it onto the service. And you can see in this case, in just 9 minutes, it's gone through maybe 15 different chains, searched through hundreds of millions, if not billions of blocks, and picked out all the information that you care about. So go and check that out. You can see lots of people live today deploying hours ago, days ago, indexing many kinds of different things, all different kinds of use cases, different amounts of chains, different kinds of data, lots going on there. So yeah, I would love for you to check it out. And we have a super generous and fast development tier where you can index hundreds of millions of blocks and deploy in just a couple of seconds. So I hope that helps. And yeah, go check out some other things like chain density, where you can play around and essentially get an idea for how fast and powerful it can be to build on top of the tools we provide, like Hypersync. Yeah, so I think that's actually a really good place to stop and do questions. We've also done this really nice demo where we've completely from scratch gone to the Rootstock Explorer, found some protocol, asked a question, and answered it in minutes. So yeah, I think now is actually a good time to stop. Let's talk some questions. If anything, do another example and go from there. Cool. Matthias, yeah, kind of. You can think of it almost as building blocks like that. Essentially, there's hypersync below hyperindex, and hypersync is, yeah, maybe modern Rust-based. It's not having to do all the other things a node might have to do, such as facilitate consensus, add on blocks, etc., etc. But what it allows you to do is very fast and flexibly search through data. Yeah, I see some other people asking questions about what the competitive advantages are. Well, yeah, typically some big protocols like an Aerodrome that uses us have more than 200 million swaps on base. That's a lot of data. And to scan the entire chain and pick out 200 million swaps using other tooling, that can take on the order of 3 to 4 weeks to scan through. And it's something we're able to do in, say, about 10, 15 hours. So it's about a 100x speed improvement in that case, which is really, really nice and useful for developers, which is really, really nice. So yeah, that's something that's really cool to see. Some more questions. Any non-EVM chains on the horizon? Fuel is live, so we have all the EVM chains. We have Fuel. We are thinking about some more, so interesting to see the thinking over there, which is really, really nice. See some other cool questions. For those of us quite new to the blockchain arena, ENVIO allows us to monitor emitted events. I'm trying to think of use cases where this sort of stuff will be useful. Sure, Mohammed, imagine you are building any kind of protocol, let's say on Rootstock. Let's say you're building your own stable coin that's backed by Bitcoin, etc. You more than likely going to have some website with some user interface, and users are going to have to interact with the blockchain, and you're going to want to show data about your stablecoin protocol, how much money has been minted, how many people are using it, what the biggest transfers are, a whole host of information. And how do you get that information? You can't just, as soon as the user clicks the button, hope that information, comes from under the Christmas tree out into your computer. You have to have some kind of solution or strategy, and this is the answer for it. It's an extremely fast way to scan through the entire chain, pick out the information you care about, put it neatly into a database, and allow you to make those requests so you can populate your UI and make it really, really nice and answer all those questions. So yeah, that's a way that you would need. Again, for analytics, the exact same thing. You want to answer questions, and this gets all that information for you so you are able to answer those questions. And yeah, thanks so much, George, for sharing all of the good stuff. Would super appreciate a star in our GitHub repo. Honestly, you would be legends. Go ahead, check that out in the chat. I would really, really love that. A follow on Twitter too. Cool, I'm gonna go see if there's any more questions. Glad to see the video pop-up wasn't too bad. Nice, cool. Nice, yeah, the playground is cool. Cool. Yeah. I mean, one of the things I'd love for everyone to do at some point is, don't just take my word for it. I did this all on the call. There's so much here for you to go and try, which is really nice. We have the docs there, and you can try this out yourself, and you can actually, pick any address on Rootstock and index it and just look at it yourself. Get a portfolio item up if you want to build and hack on a little project. Yeah, very good early morning to you too, Aaron. Nice for you to tune in. Gracie, I see it's your first workshop. Nice to see you here. Hi, everyone else. I can see Gianluca, Hal, Craig, Arcadio, Christian, Matthias, Mohammed. Good to see you all. Very nice to see you all. A non-tech question. Thanks for that question. The name ENVIO means shipping in Spanish, kind of like shipping lots of code. There we go. So that's that. Thanks for joining the Discord server, Leighton. Thank you. Exactly. Send. There we go. Send/shipping. Yeah, maybe send better. There we go. I love the ship emoji. Love that, everyone. So yeah, I think what I'd like to do is keep it short and sweet and really give you the punchy stuff. I'm going to actually keep sharing just a couple of links for you in the chat. So give me a second to do that. But there's the chain density link. I want to share you the docs link of getting started. Remember, it's that command that's so simple, ENVIO init. So if we finish a couple minutes early now, your homework is to go to that docs link, hit ENVIO init, and go index some rootstock data on your PC right now. And you can go and do that. And yeah, feel free to jump in the Discord and get comfy, and we can help answer any questions you have. And yeah, again, go give us a star. And big thanks as well to Encode for hosting us, being so lovely as always, bringing everyone out. Hugely appreciated. And yeah, thanks for all the comments. Thanks to everyone for listening. And let's rock and roll.
That's a great homework. I hope everyone takes you up on that, since we may be ending the session slightly early. You've got an extra 25 minutes to go and do some practice. Put
Which
what
is
you've
enough
learned
time.
into practice. Yeah. More than enough time based on your demo taking all of 5 minutes.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. Quick and easy. We want to show you how easy it is to get that data when typically it can be a really hard, tough process. So yeah, and thanks so much for everyone for listening. I know it's super early or super late wherever you are, and videos can be exhausting, but it means a lot for you paying attention and coming through. So keep rocking on and having a lovely day.
Thanks to everyone who joins us live as well. You have the option to watch the recording, but it's amazing to have an active chat where you can ask questions and get answers immediately. And it's great for us to see you all actively engaged in learning. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, JonJon. Thank you, George, for being in the chat, sending all the links and hyping us all up. Yeah, awesome. Okay, we will end the session here for today. You guys have your homework, so you know what you have to be doing. The chat should stay open after the call ends, but otherwise save all these links so you have them open so you don't lose them. They'll also be posted in the Discord and stuff. So, and of course, join the ENVIO Discord and you'll be able to find them. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your days, everyone, or good night if it's very late where you are. And we will see you for the next workshop in the Rootstock series on Thursday, I believe. So have a good rest of your day, everyone.